Can you imagine being on top of the world, only for it to slip through your fingers over and over again? You probably know him for...
Why the f am I so unlucky? Why the f am I so unlucky?
But unlike most drivers who simply lost races, he seemed to lose everything at once.
Jules Bianchi has died of injuries suffered during last year's Japanese Grand Prix.
Anthoine Hubert has been killed in a Formula 2 crash at the Belgian Grand Prix.
Now let's dive into the most unforgettable chapters of Formula One history. Picture this: Spain, 2014. Charles Leclerc had just finished his Formula Renault 3 season. Most drivers would be celebrating, but not him. He was glued to the Japanese Grand Prix, eyes fixed on his godfather, Jules Bianchi, carving through the track. Every corner, every lap, he watched as if the race itself were a lesson. Then a message arrived. Jules had been struck by a devastating crash.
Formula One's racing body said the Frenchman was taken from the car unconscious and will issue any updates as soon as further information becomes...
Months later, Charles learned that his godfather hadn't survived the injuries.
French Formula One driver Jules Bianchi has died of injuries suffered during last year's Japanese Grand Prix.
The loss cut deep. Jules was Charles's guiding star since childhood. They met in karting, with young Charles always shadowing his father, watching Jules rise and dreaming of Formula One. Before his death, Jules had already paved the way, convincing Ferrari to give an unknown talent a chance. In 2016, Charles got his first test with Ferrari, the start of his journey, and a way to carry his godfather's dream forward. He had arrived. From there, he raced upward, GP3 champion, then Formula 2, and each step a leap closer to his dream.
That's all! Leclerc trying another move on his former teammate. This is amazing to watch. Remember, there is one more. DRS zone! Oh, he might have opened the door! Look at the Otto's opened the door! And Charles Leclerc takes the lead!
Charles was on the brink of Formula One, but just before the 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, his world broke. Elvie, the man who'd paved his path, passed away. Charles had told him a lie that his F1 seat was already secured. After the loss, there was only one path forward: make it real. Right after his father's passing, he claimed pole in F2, won the race, and dedicated it to him, his helmet bearing the tribute for all to see. Charles battled to the F2 title, secured his F1 seat, and kept his promise to his father.
Father, he did many things in my career. I mean, if I'm here today, it's thanks to him. He made me start at 3 years old, and since then he has been a huge support for me. And it's a good way to thank him. It won't bring him back, but satisfying thing for me this week.
Joining Sauber, he wasted no time making his mark. A year later, Charles joined Ferrari, sitting next to four-time champion Vettel. By his second race, he was on pole. But that weekend, his focus shifted to his childhood friend racing in F2. Then, suddenly...
Holy jeez. Oh wow.
Tragedy struck again. Hubert was gone. The third heartbreak. Most would have paused. Charles didn't. He climbed into the car, battled Hamilton lap after lap, and claimed his first F1 victory, dedicating it to Hubert. The next week, at Ferrari's home in Monza, Charles triumphed again with back-to-back wins and the first Ferrari victory there since 2010. By then, Charles was no longer just Ferrari's rising star, he was their future. But with Vettel still the established champion, tensions flared. Team orders and strategy mistakes sparked controversy, and the lines of hierarchy blurred, and collisions too. Charles never stopped fighting. By year's end, even Vettel knew Ferrari's future was his. On his farewell helmet, "Don't waste it." 2 tough seasons followed, but 2022 brought the F175 and a real shot at the title, though a familiar rival still stood in his way. By 2022, Charles was no longer the rookie, he was the leader. In Bahrain, he crushed the start of the season. Pole position, led every lap, sending a message to Verstappen and Red Bull. And he won.
Charles Leclerc wins the opening Grand Prix!
That was only the start. Everyone sensed Charles was gunning for the throne. Early in the season, he led Verstappen, setting the pace. Until Spain. He led the race. Then the engine died. Verstappen surged ahead, snatching both the win and the championship lead. But the season was far from over. Next stop was Monaco. Pole position, a top car, everything was in place. Yet for him, fate had other plans. Ferrari stumbled spectacularly again, pole in Baku, and yet history repeated itself. Another heartbreak. At first, it looked recoverable. He held a solid lead. But in just a few laps, the dream shattered into a nightmare. It was pure heartbreak.
That's Charles Leclerc.
That's Charles
going
Leclerc.
very slowly.
No, what happened? What happened? Lost power.
Charles proved he could beat Verstappen, but the title kept slipping. By the French GP, the weight of Max. And Ferrari finally broke through. It was over. Ferrari blew chance after chance, and Verstappen ran away with the title. Leclerc's talent was undeniable, but Ferrari was his true opponent. By 2023, slow cars, fragile reliability, and messy strategy defined his year. Brazil summed it up. The car died on the formation lap, and over the radio came the line that said it all. No one came close to Verstappen's dominance, but 2024 felt different. Red Bull looked vulnerable. Sainz won in Australia, Norris in Miami. Suddenly, the title fight was wide open. And for Leclerc, Monaco was the proving ground. Every lap was tense, one mistake, and it was gone. Every eye was on him. Charles stayed in front until the moment he'd been chasing finally arrived. The crowd roared. Wins at Monza and the US. Career best points, third in the championship. Ferrari was back. Could this be the start of something legendary? Ferrari had everything lined up. Stars, history, hope. But 2025 quickly showed the same old story. Red Bull stumbled, McLaren shone, and Ferrari fell apart. Disqualifications, strategy chaos, engine failures week after week, heartbreak piled up. Monaco looked promising, only to slip away at the last second. Leclerc was brilliant, but trapped, living a dream that kept breaking him. At 27, even loyalty felt like a curse. And so the season drags on, but the question isn't whether he can win, it's whether Ferrari will finally let him.